Island Basketball and Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Hess, and with me, as always, returning from his trip around the world in 80 days via hot air balloon, it's Mike Regan. Mike, how you doing today?
Well, not great at the moment because I forgot we were recording and was just biting my nails on camera, so that's great. I need you to blur that out in the edit.
You want me to blur it out? Not cut to you, just blur it out?
Yeah. Oh, that's their option, I guess.
Yeah.
More logical, easier option.
Well, as with every problematic thing that happens on this show, now that we've brought light to it, I have to leave it in. It's what the people demand.
They demand. Yeah, making my return after taking a little trip to my old stomping grounds, 716, Buffalo, New York, baby.
You know no one calls it that, right?
The 716?
716, yeah. Why do you refer to everywhere?
As an area code?
Phone area code, yeah.
I don't know.
If you ever move to Chicago, you have to pick if you're going to refer to it as the 773 or the 312.
I'll do 773 to the 312.
All right, we're back. What were we talking about? What were we saying? You're around the world in 80 days. You're drinking the worst lemonade ever because it has like one drop of lemonade.
It's actually a delicious lemonade. You can see the pieces of lemon are in it. But we need to start talking hockey because I'm already like 10 ounces into this 32-ounce lemonade. All right.
How many times do you have to pee during this? Do you know the great
11 ounces?
Tyler Carcara of the podcast, having to pee during every podcast we do?
Yeah.
The man has the bladder of an infant, and it's time that someone discusses it publicly.
It's time for someone to do something about it.
Imagine going on a road trip with that guy. You'd make it like down the street, and he'd be like, "Can we stop for a bathroom break?" And also, I'm from California, and it never rains there. What a fucking joke. Fucking joke.
Thinks he's so cool with all his
it's
wildfires.
Because we can say whatever we want about him, and he won't listen to this because he doesn't like hockey. So, All right, Mike, we're gonna talk of the hockey. Is that what you want to do? You want to do that?
Yeah, we're talking to hockey.
So, as I said, we are a basketball and hockey podcast brought to you by the great people who also brought you a review of Saltburn, the only movie review on our website. We're here to discuss the NHL. Obviously, as you do in the middle of August, the most hockey month. But what we're doing is we're going to be going through division by division and doing our off-season report cards now that we have basically everything resolved. The final kind of dominoes to fall, because September 5th is the last day for arbitration. This is some arbitration-eligible contract still. The Dylan Larkin situation we don't know about, who the Red Wings are going to hire as their head coach, if Connor Hellebuck's going to get traded, and the best free agent remaining being Patrick Laine. Those are kind of all the things that we're still waiting for true answers on before the season starts. But for now, we're just going to be going through, and we are going to go division by division, by division, by division, and then stop there, giving every team an off-season report card. I figure we'll just do letter grades. We'll just discuss what they did and then do letter grades.
Yeah.
All right.
I was planning on throwing out the grade first and then backing up my point, but we can do it their way, I guess.
Yeah, we'll discuss everything they did. Then we'll give them a letter grade. That way we can yell and scream at each other over if it's a C+ or a B-.
Okay.
Which feels more significant. Like if one of us said C and one of us said C+, I feel like that doesn't feel as big of a difference as if someone said a C+ to a B-.
Yeah. Because B stands for better. C stands for cuck.
Mike coming out the gate swinging. I could tell that you didn't miss a beat, missing 9 days of podcasts.
Dude, I'm always ready to go.
So, at Mike's demand, we are going to start with the Pacific and then work our way across the United States the same way that those two guys did through Louisiana that one time with Pocahontas. Lewis and Clark.
Sacagawea.
Oh, Sacagawea. Sacagawea. I don't get that because I'm Canadian, so I don't really understand the reference.
Pocahontas married John Rolfe, went back to England, and then died.
She was like 13, right?
Yeah.
This country's so fucking fucked up.
Fucked up.
But we're going to start with the Pacific Division, Mike. I figure we'll go from last to first. We'll start with the worst team last season and go up to the first team last season.
Did my notes alphabetical. Okay.
You did them alphabetical. So you wanted us to start with... Did you do them by city or by team? Were we going to start with the Ducks? Or were we going to start... Okay, so we were going to start with Calgary?
Anaheim.
So we're going to start with the Ducks either way there. Got it.
A, B, C, D.
Mike, the Vancouver Canucks, who had a bad season last year. Bad season. Traded away Quinn Hughes. Still did have Elias Pettersson on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Took a sip of my coffee. Mike, this offseason, they signed Paul Cotter, Luke Shin, and Jamie oh my God. I even practiced this beforehand. Oleksiak. As well as trading for Marcus Peterson for a 2030 first-round pick. Those are all their contracts they signed over $1 million annually.
Away Marcus Pettersson.
Yeah, sorry. They trade away Marcus Peterson for a 2030 first-round pick. During this offseason, they also signed Manny Malhotra as their head coach and the two Sedins as their co-presidents of hockey operations.
Dude, Sedin twins back in Vancouver.
By the way, in their draft, they also drafted twins, didn't they? Or did the Pittsburgh Penguins draft twins? Someone drafted twins.
All I know is they drafted the Nepo baby.
Yeah. That's probably why I'm thinking it. Yeah, they drafted Manny Malhotra's son, Minnie Malhotra.
Would you want to play for your dad as a coach? I feel like he'd come down harder on you.
I wouldn't want to play for my dad as a coach because if I am suddenly an NHL player, I can get laid in like every city in Canada. And the last thing I want is like showing up to practice, wearing the same jersey I left in. And my coach
You think they wear their jerseys and pads 24/7?
Don't they? I've never seen a player outside their jerseys and pads, Mike. They're always at least wearing their lower half in those interviews.
Oh, yeah.
This is the dumbest conversation.
Yeah.
So they had 2 first-round picks, by the way.
Mm-hmm. No, I think didn't they trade their second one to Vegas?
No, because unless they trade for or what? That was really stumbled through that. Unless they trade him after he signed his ELC. It's the pick they got because they had their pick and they also had the 24th pick they got from Minnesota in the Quinn Hughes trade, which is Adam Novotny. Adam Novotny.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was looking at on Puckpedia, I was looking at their thing backwards, and I thought the team to the right was who ended up making the pick, but the team to the right is the original pick. So I do apologize.
You better. Mike, let's start here. Before we give letter grades, do you like these contracts? Do you hate these contracts? What?
Dude, they had like 4 first-round picks.
They only made 2, right?
Maybe they did. I don't know. Anyway, not the point. Biggest thing was number 3 overall. So what I liked about Vancouver this offseason is after years of me being frustrated because they were like 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the pool, they finally just embraced the rebuild.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that I kind of would quibble with, like giving Jamie Oleksiak $5 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, you have to pay someone, like you have to hit the cap floor. And we're going to have sticker shock for like 2 years because we'll obviously get to these players later, but Celebrini and Leo Carlson are now making $18 million a year after the highest contract in the league last year was $13 million. Like,
yeah.
Or wait, how much was it? 14 or 15? How much was Kirill the Thrill making? However much he was making was the top contract in the league. I think it might have been 14. But we had this huge jump.
Did Kirill beat Leon? Did he extend after Leon signed with Dallas? Because one of them was the highest. Yeah.
We would have to. We'll check that once we get to the Central. Who fucking cares right now? We're not talking about the Central.
Check that.
We are getting sticker shock right now because all of these deals went up, and cap's going up, as I say. So 5 years for Oleksiak looks like a lot of money for a guy who isn't good and is also old, but they had to pay someone, and it's not a ton of term. So by the time this team's good and has to care about contracts, Oleksiak's going to be on the scrap heap of Vancouver history.
Yeah, I mean,
same thing generally with like paying like Luke Shin, right? Like they just need dudes in uniform.
Yeah, I mean, Oleksiak for only like 2 years at 5, I don't hate. Like it lines up with what they're probably hoping to be the time they turn the corner and start competing again. He'll be off the books, but like it's easier to justify giving Oleksiak $5 million when they did shed some cap this offseason, and they currently sit with a projected cap space of 17.8 million. And
That's almost
imagine,
enough.
I mean,
that's almost enough for one Leo
for
Carlson.
one McDavid. Oh yeah. And imagine if they were able to like move off, like there's so much term on these two contracts, so it might be a little tough, but if they were able to move off like a Brock Besser who's making 7.25, or even if they were able to move off a Pedersen and retain 50%, that wouldn't be a bad deal either.
Yeah, you can, my thing with Pedersen is, let's go ahead and assume they're not moving Pedersen until they do. Like,
Yeah.
for those uninformed at home. Now, once again, cap's going up, but Elias Pettersson, who was a borderline 100-point guy, who now is, how much did he score last year? 60? 50?
51 points.
51 points at
$74
$11.6 million
Yeah.
in 74 games. He had 15 goals. Like, he's completely fallen off a cliff, and some of that's like, hey, the team got worse around him. But you know what? Quinn Hughes was still pretty fucking good when he was on this bad team. So, but I say all that to say that until they can move off the no movement clause, in his prime, only getting 51 points in 74 games, Elias Pettersson, I'm going to assume that they can't move him. That's just how I'm just going to operate under the assumption that they can't move him.
They'd have to retain salary and then take pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. They have a bunch of guys going in their contract year too. No one, and obviously I don't want to get too far on all these guys and talking about contract years, or all these teams talking about contract years. But they are, like you said, they're going to have a ton of cap space in a couple of years when they are starting to think about, hey, we have, who's the best player in this upcoming draft?
Mavin Gugina. I don't know.
A Landon DuPont.
Oh.
That just sounds like a right shot defenseman.
It does.
When they have Landon DuPont as like a Norris candidate, they're either going to be in a place where they can really start to spin up the wheels, or they're going to be in a place where they can trade him to Minnesota. So we have that to look forward to. They won't trade him to Minnesota. He's from Canada, and as we know, only Americans hate Canadian cities. That's why
That's
no
right.
Americans play in any Canadian cities.
Exactly.
That's Florida hasn't won a game in Canada in years because every time they go there, the entire team refuses to get on the ice.
Exactly. It's not like Toronto's best player is American or anything.
John Tavares is American?
You're a douchebag.
That's right. I said it.
What's your grade for Vancouver, you dork?
A C. Like, I get it. They embrace the rebuild because I think you're going to give them a higher grade than I will because they embrace the rebuild, which is what you want out of this offseason from them. But if we're just looking at the things they did this offseason, I don't like any of their signings. They hired an unknown at head coach. They hired 1.5 unknowns at president of hockey ops, and their team's bad. So I can't give them above a C. Like, they did what they're supposed to, so congratulations, you passed, but you don't get anything above that without doing something good.
Yeah, I originally said B, but I will probably go B minus, maybe, like somewhere in there. I like the fact that they realize we got to get younger. We're gonna have to go through some time to rebuild this. I actually like going with a younger, newer head coach in that situation. You just kind of bring in like this new, fresh regime and see what they can build. So considering they had no bad moves and they've started pushing everything in the direction they should have been going in like 2-3 years ago, in my opinion. I give them a B actually.
So I am also in this in particular trying not to do like IGN grades, right? Where it's like if a game's below like 7.5, you're like, this is dog shit.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'll be trying to be realistic about things. A C is like an average off season, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, Mike. Next up, we have the Calgary Flame. The Calgary Flame, the presumptive worst team in the division a year ago, who ended up not being able to be bad enough. They signed Simon Nemec to a 5-year, $36.250 million deal, which nets out to an AAV of something, 7.25. 7.25 AAV. That's their only contract they signed over $1 million AAV. Do you want me to go through the other ones? Like, how
No.
much do you get? Like, Michael Benning, Ben Jones, Andre Eglund, Jake Livingston.
Yeah, not really
Care
necessary.
about any of those? No, they're all any contract under $1 million AAV in the modern NHL. I'm like, all right, that guy's probably like borderline roster guy. Even on the Flames, borderline roster guy.
Right.
Additionally, they traded Blake Coleman and Uli Mata for Jacob Middleton, a 2029 second-round pick, a 2027 third-round pick, and a 2028 fourth-round pick. They retained 50% on Blake Coleman, which is $2.450 for 1 year. What do you think? 3 picks and a 30-year-old defenseman with a career-high 16 in points for Blake Coleman and Uli Mata. Like that trade? Who like that trade for? Who won that trade?
I think Calgary, just because they shed cap space, which made the Simon Nemec deal like more digestible. They obviously had a goal in this offseason to improve their blue line. Acquiring Nemec 6th overall, they drafted Karels Karlsson or whatever it was, the defenseman. Yeah, Karels Karlsson.
You think he's going to score 100 points and you're going to hate him?
I don't know. And they have 14.8 million projected cap space going the next season, which could open them up to where if they have like a surprisingly good year and are fighting for the playoffs and there's like a big chip on the trade market, they'd have the space to maybe go do that. I do think they're a little in like they didn't push their chips in and like trying to have this massive offseason. They made like, all right, let's make like this one like notable move here, but let's not get like too aggressive and start going crazy and make bad moves. So like I don't think they signed any bad deals or made any bad moves, but outside of the Nemec deal and their draft picks, they didn't really do much to improve.
So do we need to litigate as part of this the Nemec trade? I mean, it's kind of like outside the scope because that wasn't technically off season because I think the Cup final was still going on, wasn't it?
It happened after the Cup final.
Okay, so let's talk about that then. So Calgary gets Sam Nemec and Maxim Yasiplenkov for a conditional 2027 first, which is Vegas's, a conditional 2028 first, which was Colorado's, 2026 second, which was the Rangers' number 35 pick this year, and Etienne Morin. So they gave up 3 picks and a player for Nemec and Yasiplenkov. No one retained any salary in it. That alone felt a little bit like an overpay, emptying the war chest for a good, maybe not great defenseman.
Still really young, so he can improve. He's only 22 years old.
I mean, yeah, he can improve. He ended up in 68 games having 26 points on the juggernaut offensive New Jersey Devils last year, as we all remember.
Yeah.
His career high was last year. Never played more than 68 games. I mean, it was generally his best season last year. And they paid a lot for him, and then they paid him a lot. Paid him $7.250 million. Is he going to be on their top pair? No one knows.
Probably. I don't know who else you'd have on the top pair. But I mean, let's say over the next couple seasons, if he bumps up a tier, then that 7.25 looks like a steal of a contract, in my opinion.
Yeah, and some of it, like, it's so hard with any of this stuff too, just because, like, the contracts got so absurd, especially for forwards, that now it's kind of hard to be like, well, I mean, this is a bad contract. He's getting paid $11 million less than the highest paid player in the league. But
yeah,
right now they have him on Daily Faceoff. They have him on the second pair with Jacob Middleton, with Kevin Ball and Zach Whitecloud on the top pair. All those guys are like the same. Like, is Simon? Do you think? Like, who would you rather have? Nemec or Whitecloud?
Nemec.
Just because he's younger?
He's younger. I think he's a little bit better. I said it.
I said it. I told Zach Whitecloud, what's up? The Whitecloud hive is going nuts right now. So, I like that. I don't love that move. And outside of that, they didn't do like a ton, you know? At least not a ton
Yeah.
interesting, I should say.
Right. You know what I could see happening is they may be setting up to get aggressive maybe next offseason. Or even starting at the trade deadline, because not only that they have all that cap space, and then they also, for the next 4 years, they own their own first round picks. They also have all 4 of their seconds, plus those conditionals could end up being first or seconds, and they even own all their thirds. That's not really worth pointing out, but I did anyway. So they could
You sure
be
did,
stuffing
buddy.
up the coffers. I sure did. But so they could be stuffing up the coffers for when the time is right to get aggressive. I'm trying to find
What they
I
would
mean,
get aggressive
think
for.
about it. Just think about it. Like next year, I mean, the big name that's going to be a UFA is obviously Jason Robertson, because they couldn't get that deal done.
Can we just copy and paste whatever we're about to say next to whatever podcast comes in February,
Yeah.
March 2027?
Yeah.
Well, after they got the 1-year deal done with Jason Robertson, we know he's the big name on the market in 2028.
Yeah, and I mean, there's going to be some young players who are going to be RFAs next year that could potentially not want to sign with their teams. I don't know, Kirill Mershenko.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing about that is no one signs any RFAs to an offer sheet. Give me 2 examples of when that's happened.
There's a lot of examples.
You done talking, or?
Oh yeah, I mean that's everything I had to say on. I pointed out everything I wanted to point out on the old Calgary Flames.
So really their offseason this offseason has been the Simon Nemec offseason, which your mileage on Nemec is going to inform a lot of what you think about their offseason. So what grade are you giving it there, Mike?
I gave him a C+.
Are you going to give them any points because maybe they should move Jonathan Huberdeau, like you were trying to give Vancouver for if they could move? Elias Pettersson?
I didn't give him points. I didn't give him points for if they could move, but yeah, I mean, if they could. I mean, Huberdeau is just overpaid, but it's not like he's nowhere near what he was in his prime. But
you mean that one season?
Never mind. Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah, he's bad. What do you mean?
Yeah,
did he have
I was going to try to make a case that
Elias Pettersson?
No, Pettersson beat him. He had 25 points, but he only played 50 games. So
it's a half a point a game pace.
Yeah,
it's not great. That's Connor Bedard numbers. Can't wait to talk about the Blackhawks. I am going to give them a C-.
Okay.
I don't like the Nemec trade.
The same ballpark.
They paid too much for Nemec, and then they paid Nemec too much. And then they didn't really do much. Maybe I should give them a D+. I don't like the Nemec deals. They gave up so much for Nemec and then gave Nemec a shitload of money. And I don't know if Nemec is going to be a great defenseman. I get he's only 22, but he has a career high of, what did I say it was, 26 points?
Yeah.
That's not good, you know? It's not good.
Depends on what you're. Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. I think that basically sums up our Calgary segment. Is that I went C+ because I like the Nemec trade more than you, and you went C- because you don't like it as much as I do.
They traded.
That was definitely the deciding factor.
They traded 3 first-round picks for him, man.
And they still have a ton.
3 first-round picks. Okay. If I have $100,000 and I spend $80,000 on a Batmobile, I still have $20,000.
Yeah, but you also have a Batmobile.
But a Batmobile's a waste of money. Ask Batman. How often does he get to drive that around?
Dude, he gets so much coos because of that Batmobile.
Does he have to keep the mask on? Or?
He does. They all ask him to keep the mask on.
Anyways, who are we talking about next? The Kraken? The Seattle Kraken? Mike, the Seattle Kraken, a storied franchise in the history of the National Hockey League. I think back to their battles in the Norris Division. I think to their long-running fans, the ones that have been there since day one, you know. The kids that were born as a result of people's elation and excitement over the Kraken's success. You can't think of the NHL without thinking of the Seattle Kraken.
Or there was a lot of kids born because couples went to Kraken games and had to get themselves shit-faced to
Had
get
to
through
get
it and ended up
hammered
having
to not be
sex.
bored.
Ended up having sex in the bathroom.
That's the nice thing about Climate Pledge Arena.
They're out there cracking it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Cracking it at the Kraken game.
So the Kraken, in typical Kraken fashion, signed Bobby McMahon to a 6-year extension for $34.5 million. They also acquired
Terrible deal.
Mackie Samoskevich from the Florida Panthers for a 2026 first-round pick and a conditional 2027 second-round pick, which allowed the Panthers to get Brady Tkachuk.
Brady.
Now here's the question. Do we give the Kraken like an arbitrary bump because of how much they help Florida? Like, do they get an assist on Florida having a good offseason?
No. If
Okay.
anything, the rest of the league hates them because they gave Florida an assist.
Mike, here's the thing that you don't understand. The rest of the league would have to realize that the Kraken are in the NHL to hate them.
That's right. They're
And
like,
I
I thought it was an
simply-
AHL team.
I simply don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
They signed Samoskevich to a 3-year, $11.5 million deal, which is reasonable money. And then they signed some other people for less than $1 million a year. And I think they got a new coach, right?
You also have to mention that they got totally Jason Robertson. They tried to throw a bag at him, and he was like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
that's a
want
good
to go
point.
to Seattle.
I guess that should be part of the conversation. Are we sure Lane Lambert wasn't already there? I'm just double checking. No, it's his first year. It's his first year. We're good. Nope,
Yeah.
it's his second year. He was there last year.
Oh, that's right, because they had Rick Tocchet. He left to go to Philly.
They never had Rick Tocchet. They had Dave Haxtell.
Wasn't
They had Ron
Tocchet
Francis as their GM.
Where's Tocchet at before Philly?
I don't know, man. I'm not a Tocchet whisperer. Vancouver?
Oh, it was just Coover.
Yeah, it was Vancouver.
Mobby.
So they didn't sign a new coach, Mike. The Lane Lambert's been there for 2 years.
Lane Lambert sounds like he should. Nah, it does sound like a hockey coach's name. Never mind.
What are we talking about?
The Kraken, who really did nothing this offseason besides overpay Bobby McMahon, who they traded for at the deadline. You know, there's a few contracts.
but
There's like a
here's the
handful
thing.
of contracts.
Bobby McMahon turned into like a really good second line winger once they traded for him. He averaged 0.78 points per game in 18 games once they traded for him.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, 14 points in 18 games is pretty damn good, but I don't know. Are you going to think he's going to keep that up? It's a small sample size, but I guess 5.75 isn't terrible. Cap's
Yeah,
going up.
5.75 is not terrible in the modern cap environment. I don't think it's a great contract, but I don't think it's like the worst contract signed this offseason or anything.
Oh, definitely not.
Also because they traded for him, so you knew they were going to pay him. Same thing with Samoskevich,
Yeah.
right? Like, of course they were going to pay him.
Yeah, with football, we talk about like every time like a wide receiver who's like a wide receiver one's contract comes up, he gets paid like a massive amount because it feels like teams are like, well, he's our number one receiver. We got to pay him a massive amount.
Yeah.
Sometimes NHL teams are like, well, we traded for him at the deadline. We got to sign him.
Their two big offseason signings were both guys that they traded for during the regular season. It was Samoskevich and McMahon, and then they gave what $1.25 million to Curtis Douglas.
Their only other notable offseason move was they drafted Chase Reed at 7th overall.
Is that notable? Is that notable? Is it?
He was. People did not know how like that. Those like top 3 defensemen, the order they were going to go in come draft night. There was so much talk.
Now, are you saying that because you feel like your team drafted the worst of those defensemen? Is that why?
I didn't say that.
I don't know. You were
Maybe.
pretty apoplectic that night. The night of the draft, it was
I was apoplectic.
Samoskevich.
Yeah.
Samoskevich.
Because they made the pick in general. That's why I was apoplectic.
I think I got into your
They
head on
made
that
both
one.
their first round picks.
I kept
so.
saying that it's a mistake if they make that pick, and then they made the pick, and then I got a bunch of texts from Mike about how it was so over.
I was very angry. I got beef with the Kraken. I guess not beef.
Yeah,
but,
how
like,
can you
I'm-
have beef with the Kraken?
That's true. But like, what are you guys doing? Like, sitting there with $18.4 million in cap space, and I know it wasn't. Once again, it wasn't a good strong UFA class, and you tried to give that money to Jason Robertson, and he was like, "I'd rather not have to smell fish every morning." But like your teams, you have so many guys. You have so many guys in your 30s. Like your team's old. Ish. No, your team's old.
Yeah,
they got so many guys in their 30s who are like good but not great, or meh players, and like, you know, Matthew Beniers is like Beniers, sorry, wrongfully won the Calder Trophy, and then has declined. His plays declined every year since then. I mean, not declined like all the way down, but hasn't played to like up to what they thought they were going to have after that rookie season. I mean, he's still good, but I think they thought he was going to be like, after that rookie season, he was going to be like a stud going forward. He hasn't really been that. So at some point, like the Kraken have to make moves, or they have to like be like, all right, let's just get younger and stop. Let's try to move off this like god awful Chandler Stevenson contract.
Yeah, here's the crazy thing about the Kraken. Is you said god-awful Chandler Stevenson contract. Like, the Chandler Stevenson contract's not good, but they don't have any terrible contracts purely because they don't have any notable contracts. Like, they don't have any notable players, they don't have any notable contracts. Their two highest paid players both make 7 and change. They still have Philip Grubauer in goal for them, and then everyone on the roster is basically between an ELC and $7.3 million. Like, there is nothing notable about the Seattle Kraken at all. It is the least notable franchise in the NHL.
Yeah.
Remember when we all
So that's why
Shane Wright fell to them. This guy,
that was a big whiff, huh?
He's the new Bergeron.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a good sign his rookie season
when he played on the NHL team for the entire time.
His first 2 seasons where it's like, they're not really he's not seeing the ice a whole much there.
Yeah.
In his first 2 years with the Kraken, he played a total of 8 games in the show.
He's still on a 2-way.
Yeah. And I don't think they're picking that up.
And it's his last year before his RFA. Or his deal's up, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the unentry team. Matty Beniers, still their highest paid forward. Matty Beniers also last year had how many points? He had 50 points in 82 games.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Cool.
Cool. I can't tell. I gave him a D.
Yeah, I think a D's
They didn't really do anything bad. They just did nothing.
They did nothing.
Yeah.
They were an entirely uninteresting team. Here's the thing, right? They didn't do anything good is the important part, which is why I can't give them a C. It's not like they're like, I don't love the extension for McMahon or even Smoskovich at that number.
Mm-hmm.
Like, both those players are perfectly fine. That I wouldn't want to give a bunch of term to. I mean, McMahon has a 6-year contract. And I don't have it in front of me, but I assume some kind of crazy no movement clause because it's the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't sign a single contract where I was like, oh, that's good for them. Kraken on the way up.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if they are in the playoff conversation next year, come into the year. And I'd be surprised if they had the number 1 overall pick.
I mean, I just feel like they're going to be like, if there was any team I feel like that could successfully go 41-41 for the first time ever, it would be the Seattle Kraken.
41-41, no overtimes, no shootouts.
Yeah.
Be a lot of fun. Mike, next up in this division, the San Jose Sharks, and probably where we are going to spend a bulk of our time talking. I
have a shitload to say about Anaheim. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Anaheim. I think the top half of this division is really interesting outside of the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
But the San Jose Sharks, Mike. So if we go back to the literal end of the season, after the cup was lifted by no one can remember who, and a guy that definitely doesn't own the Portland Trailblazers. Right after that, San Jose traded for Michael Kesselring and a 2026 first, and in return gave Buffalo a 2026 first from Edmonton. So Buffalo moves up, 7 picks in the draft, and gives up Kesselring?
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah.
Who wasn't probably going to sign with Buffalo. After that...
And he also just wasn't going to see a lot of ice time just because of our depth chart.
After that, the Sharks acquired Andre Gassot and a 4th-round pick from the Bruins in exchange for a 26th 4th via Florida and a 26th 5th via Montreal. So far, the Sharks have acquired 2 players for picks.
Mhm.
And finally, the Sharks acquire the Senators' 2026 first-round pick in exchange for William Eklund, Kasperi Haltune, and Brandon Svadova, a guy who I have no reason to know.
Yeah.
So let's just go through those trades real quick here, Mike. Let's go through those trades. And also they traded for Darnell Nurse.
Yeah.
So just going through those trades real quick, Mike. What do you think of their offseason strategy from just the trades for the San Jose Sharks?
Wasn't bad trades until their last one. Like they didn't have to, they had to drop back a handful of spots in the first round to get Kesselring, who I think's a good depth defenseman if he can get the ice time. That's good. Giving up Eklund, for another first isn't the worst thing in the world. Depending on your mileage on Eklund, but I mean it's Celebrini's team, and they probably felt like they have pieces there to where they could give up Eklund. So I don't even like that. But the Darnell Nurse trade is just not. People were tearing them apart. Like in my Twitter like in my hockey bubble of people I follow and listen to, everybody hated it. Because like $9.25 million on the books, like that's one of the best things. We'll get to them like later. Edmonton was somehow didn't have to retain on Darnell Nurse. So you just put $9.25 million for the next 4 years with Darnell Nurse, and that cuts your projected cap space down to $3.3 million. And guess who's and Will Smith, one of their other young players they're hoping to be like a key player, is RFA next year. So you're going to have to find money to pay him at some point.
Yeah, they definitely used up a lot of their potential capital that I think a lot of people were also lauding them for. Was like, wow, they have all this room on top of everything. They used up a lot of that this season, but they are dumping some of that off the books next year. So they should
Logan Couture.
open up. Yeah, Logan Couture is the big name that they're going to dump off the book. So they should open up enough for Will Smith if they want. It's just that, like, past that, then this is your team, right? Basically. Like, if you free up the Logan Couture and Dmitry Orlov money and sign Will Smith to whatever he's worth as potentially a first-line player, you're set. That's the rest. That's what this team is going forward.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention that another reason why they were like, yeah, fine, we can give up Eklund is because they had the number 2 overall pick? Yeah, number
Ivan
2
Stenberg.
Overall pick and got Ivan Stenberg. So
yeah. Was that was the end of your sentence? Was the end of your sentence?
I mean, yeah, I think the Nurse move is risky. They also re-signed Trouba to $8.25 million. He's 32 years old. Like, is that the most? Like, if they end up, I don't know if that would be your top pair, depending on where you'd put Orlov, because he can play both sides, right or left. But like Trouba and Nurse, I think might be one of like the most overpaid top pair, like top blue line in the league. But I will say that Nurse is carrying more of that weight than Trouba probably.
So they are currently projected to have their ELC defenseman, Sam Dickinson, in the top pair with Trouba. Second pair, Darnell Nurse and Dmitry Orlov. Third pair, Luca Cagnoni, some guy, and Michael Kesselring. So that's a pretty poor blue line. On top of that, there's also a lot of concerns for them in goal, where they have Alex Nedeljkovic, who, by the way, is now 30. Time truly flies, doesn't it?
That is wild.
Eric Comrie, and of course Yaroslav Askarov, who was their supposed their Devon Levi this guy who was going to
Mhm.
tear up the NHL and was fucking terrible last year in
Very
his
true.
last year of his ELC. So we'll see if he can improve. My theory is that if you have a left-handed goalie, he's doomed to be bad. So I don't believe in Askarov. I think he's going to be terrible. But if Askarov doesn't improve and this blue line's all rickety and old and probably needs Ben Gay a lot, like the Sharks' Ben Gay budget must be incredible with this blue line.
Yes.
Dude, like somehow we're like, they signed old man Jacob Trouba to a 4-year deal. Fucking Dmitry Orlov's 35
Yeah.
on his 19th
That's-
NHL team.
Yeah. I
Anyways.
won't fault them. Like, now you talk through it, I'm not gonna beat them up too much for the money they spent whittling their cap space down, because like we said, Orlov comes off the books next year at 7.5, Couture comes off at 8 million, and they have guys like Tyler Toffoli. I know he's 34 and old. He's making 6 million this season and next season, but he's also that kind of guy where you find a team that's like trying to go win a cup and wants depth, and they can grab him to stick in their bottom six, so you can get that off there. So there's opportunities to boost the cap space next time. And they locked down Macklin, which was obviously the priority.
Yeah, let's talk about their offseason signings here, but I will say I think that there is a non-zero chance, and I'm saying this before doing my due diligence. He has a no trade clause. I think there's a non-zero chance that Jacob Trouba gets moved to a contender. Darnell Nurse, no move clause. He's probably staying put, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But like if the team's bad, and I think that it's a coin flip on if this is going to be a playoff team next year. Like we're all like, Celebrini, this guy, Mike, here's a guy, Macklin Celebrini. He can put pucks in net. He can set up other people to put pucks in net. He scores like no one's fucking business. Just love this guy. But if Celebrini doesn't directly improve over his numbers last year, or doesn't even hit them, because that's not a guarantee. Like, if anyone wants to say the famous line, progress isn't linear, or whatever it is. Like, you don't improve the same amount year over year over year. So yeah, he had 1.4 points per game last year. He had 115 total points, which was nearly double second place on the team, which was Will Smith at 59 points. So if Celebrini ends up like regressing a little bit, like say he has 101 points, still a very good season, just not going to be a Hart finalist season, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Will Smith doesn't make up for that by scoring 78 points or whatever, the team probably is going to be worse in the record and in the standings. And then all of this looks like a lot for nothing. Like they're not to accidentally make a hockey pun, but they're skating on thin ice, right? Like if things don't go to their 75th percentile outcome, their 70th percentile outcome for a lot of these guys, this could be a pretty rough year for San Jose Sharks fans.
Possibly.
Let's talk about their actual transactions here real quick, though. So, once again, players that they signed to over $1 million. Zach, is it Ostapoko or Ostapuk?
That looks like Ostapchuk. Ostapchuk? Yeah. Let's go with that.
4 years, $9.4 million per year. Michael Kesselring, they extend him. Well, I guess sign and trade, or trade and sign in that.
Yeah.
3 years, $13.5 million total, which is an AAV that I could do, but I won't. Jacob Trouba, we just talked about him. 4 years, 8.5 per for a total of 33. Eric Comrie, 2 years, 2.3. Andre Gassot, 2 years, 2.1. Tyler Toffoli, which did not break $1 million, 1 year for veteran minimum, but I still like that deal a lot, so I'm going to bring it up, as well as I like the Brett Leeson deal at veteran minimum. Ivan Stenberg signs his ELC. Macklin Celebrini gets a record $18.8 million per year, kicking in $27.28 at his extension, and then Colin Graff to a pretty team-friendly $4.25 for a total of $12.75. They did a lot, Mike. They had a lot of offseason.
Yeah. What? Huh. Yeah, I actually totally forgot about the Mason Marchment deal.
Yeah, Mason Marchment, 5 for 33.7. I don't know if I said that one out loud. I might have accidentally skipped over that one.
Which isn't
Marchment Marchman's making 6.75 for being a guy who doesn't even score at half a point a game for most of his career. I mean, he had a real good, kind of like McMahon, he had a real good stretch for the Blue Jackets to end last season, which is a lot of where his bread was made there. But he's, 31 years old, signed to a 5-year deal at 6.75 per year. And once again, the cap's going up, so that contract's not terrible. But in a few years, that's eating up cap space that you might need to improve your team, and Marchman's going to be on the decline of his aging cliff.
Yeah. So, can I give out my grade?
Well, do you have any thoughts on any of these other deals? Are there any of these deals that you particularly like? Any of these deals you particularly dislike?
I mean, the deal I don't hate the Mason Marchment deal. I think it's pretty solid. But I do like, simply off the fact that they didn't make the mistake that a lot of teams make, and they locked down their important RFA a year early.
Yeah. Props to Celebrini and Leo Carlson for being like, I'll sign 4. I'm not doing 8. Celebrini is now signed through his age 25 season, and he will be a UFA. That is how you make money.
What sport just put in, like, was it hockey that changed the rules and put a limit on term to like 6 years?
I don't think so.
Some sport did that. Let's see.
Because I think there was some 8-year contracts handed out again this offseason, wasn't there?
But it might be starting next year. I don't know.
Any hoozle. Age 26 season, by the way, for Celebrini. What is your grade for the San Jose Sharks offseason?
Yeah, it limits 8 years for players re-signing with current team and 7 years for players signing as a free agent with a new team. I gave him a C+. I think there's you can kind of make an argument it's a bit of a mixed bag. Like a solid offseason, but not a great one. And they definitely still have moves to make to become a playoff contender. They can't go Edmonton style and just be like, Stenberg and Celebrini, save us. So I gave him a C+.
I gave him a B-. So we are very close again.
Okay.
But I'm up in that. I'm just an even B. Because no matter what, they signed Celebrini and they signed him for under the max, which is not going to be the case for much longer. I know that hockey historically has been a sport where players do not sign for the max contract the way that they do in basketball, where if you score at least 20 points a game, you are guaranteed to get the max contract. We are a few years away from every best player on the team being signed to the max, and Celebrini got signed for under that. While you didn't get the term, you did get Celebrini locked in. So I'll give him. I want to give him credit for that. They signed a lot of deals that are going to be going through the next few seasons, but if they can convince Darnell Nurse to waive his no movement, if they can convince Jacob Trouba to waive his no trade, there is a spot for those guys on other teams if they really need to open up cap space. And I like when goaltending's your concern and the blue line's your concerned, they at least are trying shit to improve their blue line, and they're at least trying shit to have stable goaltending, even if some of it I don't totally agree with. At least they're out there being like, here's an issue, let's address it.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a hell of a center spine in a couple of years. Like if Will Smith jumps up closer to his potential that they were hoping, if Stenberg hits Celebrini, like that center is signs. That's... And you can also play Will Smith at the wing instead, but still.
Yeah, I think the assumption is Stenberg and Smith are both wingers.
Yeah.
So right now, their center spine is Macklin Celebrini, Michael Misa, Alexander Winberg, and Zach Ostapchuk. Give it one more shot.
Yeah.
Gave it one more shot.
Misa's young too, so we'll see how that turns out.
Mike,
Misa play hockey. Shout out Jar Jar.
Oh, great. Now Tyler's going to listen to the podcast. Next up, Mike, we have the Los Angeles Kings, also known as the team with almost the least available cap space. Do you know this?
That's not negative, yeah.
Yeah, the Kings have $1 million in available cap space.
1.75.
They made a bunch of trades that were just for picks, and we're not going to talk about that unless you have any thoughts on the players they picked with those. But I don't care about draft pick for draft pick trades. That's not part of my grading curve here. I agree. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same side here. They re-signed Brant Clark to a 5-year, $37 million deal. So that's 7.25 a year, I think. 7.2 a year. Eric Holla, 2 years, 7.2. Corey Perry returns to the Kings, 1 year, $1 million. Lane Peterson, 2 years, 1.75. As I say it out loud, I realize that is not over $1 million. Eric Gustafson, 1 year, $1 million. Scott Loughton, Mike's favorite player, 3 years, $10.5 million. Matt Zuccarello, 1 year, 1. And Elton Hermanson, 3 years, $3.225 million. Mike, you wanna start with Brant Clark? You got Brant Clark thoughts? What's your best Brant Clark memory?
Just all the times in school where people probably accidentally called him Brent. He was like, "It's Brant Clark."
32 assists, you know?
Yeah, young defenseman. That's a good place to
You love
put your
young
money
defensemen.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
Right
see a
shot
young
defenseman.
defenseman get 2 assists, you're like, well, any year now, he could be Cale Makar.
Yeah, exactly. Can we go farther back? This isn't off season, but I don't understand why after they traded for him, why they gave Artemi Panarin, 34-year-old Artemi Panarin, $11 million for the next 2 seasons.
It was the most, because that entire thing was Artemi Panarin was saying he was looking for a max length contract as his final contract.
Yeah.
And then reports came out about the deal, and he went, well, what I meant is I was looking for this amount of money, and I didn't care how many years they gave me. I just wanted that amount of money.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing.
I hate the Kings. Sorry.
So it was 2 years, $11 million extension. Or sorry, 2 years, 22, 11 per year. He might just straight up be their best offensive player.
Sadly,
yeah.
And don't get me wrong. Panarin's still a good player, better than a lot of players in the league, but he's not peak Panarin.
No. This
he did have 27 points in 26 games though with the team, and 57 in 52 games with the Rangers before that. I take it back. $11 million's a steal for 34-year-old Artemi Panarin. My bad.
I don't hate the contract, but this is an old ass team, man.
That's my thing.
Yeah, their defense has Cody Ceci, Brian Dumoulin, Joel Edmondson, Eric Gustafson, and Drew Doughty on it. Fucking 27-year-old Mikey Anderson looks like a spring chicken on their blue line. Offense,
right.
Artemi Panarin. Adrian Kempe somehow is 29 years old. Kevin Fiala, who just hit 30. Quentin Byfield still is 18 years old. Trevor Moore, who's somehow over 30. Eric Holla, Scott Loughton, Joel Armia. Corey Perry, who's 41 fucking years old. Matt Zuccarello. This is an old-ass team. And they didn't rip it down to the studs, which is surprising. Good job giving Brant Clark an extension, but, Artemi Panarin an extension. You brought in Gustafson. What is going on with the plan here? I mean, fuck, even their goaltenders, Anton Forsberg and Darcy Kemper, 33 and 36 respectively.
Yeah, I get to clarify my reason why I'm not crazy about the Panarin signing. It's just that you're not going to be good. You're not competing the next 2 years.
No.
So why are you giving $11 million to that guy? This team is old outside of 18-year-old Quentin Byfield, and they should have been shedding cap, but they didn't. And all they did were trading draft picks. They didn't do anything besides get the Brant Clark deal locked down. And they're sitting there with $1.75 million in projected cap space.
Extension.
Scott Loughton, sorry. Obviously. I'm gonna just jump ahead. I gave him an F. Big fat failure this season.
I gave him a D-.
Nah, that's fair.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll bump him up. F plus.
F plus.
Can you give that out? I don't know.
I didn't want to go fully into F territory because they signed one deal longer than 3 years, and that was Brant Clark, and that deal makes sense at the very least. I'm not saying Brant Clark is the future of fucking hockey. The guy scored half a point per game. For his career, he has 81 points in 185 games, so that's 0.44 points a game. So it's I'm not saying wow, only $7.5 million for Brant Clark. $7.5 million is probably either a slight overpay or exactly right money. So it's not like they got an incredible deal, but you lock down a young guy on your team that you see as a core component. Who that deal could end up looking good, it could end up looking okay, it just probably won't look bad. And outside of that, it's okay, 3 years, for Elton Hermanson is probably like fine. He's 18-year-old. It's your ELC on or your two-way deal on your rookie you drafted. Like I can't imagine that going too terribly bad. And then everything else is a 1 or 2 year deal.
And you have nothing in net.
Darcy Kemper won a cup, sir.
36-year-old Darcy Kemper. He's gonna break a hip trying to make a save next season.
That's fine, because behind him's Anton Forsberg, who's notably always been
yeah.
able to stay in net healthy.
Yeah.
Like I don't like anything they did. I don't love anything they did, but I don't hate anything they did. And they didn't make any moves to like signal that they're like, yeah, we know we're on the downslide. We need to tear it down to the studs and rebuild, which is what they really should have done.
That's what they should have done. But instead they watched like the Kraken do nothing and they were like, that's fun. Let's do that.
All right. D minus and an F plus.
Yeah.
You ready to just move on to the next team? We don't really need to talk about the Kings too much, right?
Yeah. No.
Next up, we are going to very briefly talk about the Anaheim Ducks. I have basically no notes. I mean, what did they even do this? Did they do anything this offseason?
Did nothing.
All right. If we just went from the start of the league season on, I think that they have by far the most moves, and that's not including going back to June 25th, which is their first transaction after the Stanley Cup. So technically at end of the year, right? Stanley Cup gets lifted, that's the end of the year. They have made so many fucking moves. So let's start the same way we did before. Let's just start with the trades.
Mm-hmm.
So they trade Olin Zellweger to your Buffalo Sabres for Anton Wahlberg and a 2026 second-round pick, who they used to pick.
I don't remember.
Jaden Kurtz.
Can't
believe you don't remember the Beef Kurtzen. Next up, they traded.
That's good.
They traded Mason McTavish to the St. Louis Blues for a 2026 first-round pick that they used to acquire Nikita Klepov. 2026 first-round pick that they used to then flip to Vegas. Next up, the trade with Vegas. They traded that first for Vegas's first. We're moving on from that one. Carolina. They traded John Carlson to Carolina for a 2026 sixth-round pick and Kyle Masters. And then they sent Radko Gudas packing back to Florida for AJ Greer in a trade that I like quite a bit for Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, they acquired Noah Phillip from Carolina for Kyle Masters, the aforementioned. And finally, they acquired Sean Farrell from Montreal for Sasha Paskudjov. Pastujov. Oh God, Mike, what do you think of these trades?
So much of Anaheim's offseason, like the dominoes were set in motion long ago. Back when, people don't recall this, a few years ago, Trevor Zegras scored a Michigan goal, and Anaheim was like, "Yep, we got our 1C of the future, baby." And then Troy Terry had his breakout season, and they were like, "Yep, we got to sign him to a long-term deal at $7 million." And then they weren't good still, and so then they got all these good draft picks, and were able to get a lot of good young talent. But now time has come to pay the bill on that young talent, and they're having to trade guys away as cap casualties, namely Olin Zellweger, who, like, yeah, it's not like he's like, lighting the world on fire, but he has a pretty good ceiling, but they're not going to be able to re-sign him. So they had to move Olin Zellweger. They had to move Mason McTavish. They did get a solid return with 2 first-round picks, but they still had to move a guy who I think that is a detriment to not having him as far as their center spine goes. And then I don't know if either guy would have re-signed there, but they didn't have the money to maybe talk into getting like a solid vet defenseman like a Gudas or a Carlson back for another year or two.
Yeah, I mean, they offloaded those guys for like what probably ended up being decent enough moves if they weren't going to re-sign, but if there was a chance that they could maintain them, not great moves. Should I go through their free agent signings then, or their signings in general real quick? Then we'll talk more broadly about
they
the Dukes.
they had to spend some fucking money. And
Yep.
they still need to find a way to spend more.
Yep. So they signed Ian Moore, 2 years, $2.3 million. They extended AJ Greer post-trade, 4 years, $17 million total, which feels like a lot for AJ Greer. Maybe it's not. Cap's going up, they say. Signed Nick Jensen, 2 years, $4.5 million. Jeff Mallett, 3 years, $5.5 million. Laurent Brossois, 1 year, $1.1 million. Corey Schoeneman, 2 years, 1.75. That is under $1 million a year, so I should have kept my fucking mouth shut. Leo Carlson, 5 years, $90 million. We'll talk more about that one in a second. Pavel Mintyukov, 5 years, $36 million. Marcus Nordmark, 3 years, $3.25 million. Nikita Klepov, 3 years, $3.225 million total. So let's start with this. They locked down Mintyukov. Probably their second best defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
They have Jackson Lacombe under contract for the next almost decade, 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they have their 1D and 2D locked down on their left side, right? They locked down Leo Carlson for the next several years, 4 years after a thing that we'll talk about here in a second, and they have Lucas Dostal locked down at $6.5 million for the next 4 years.
Bad deal.
6.5 for Lucas Dostal. Like, Dostal's a good goalie that had a terrible defense in front of him last year.
Yeah, I guess that's like looking at the positive side of it. That's looking at the glass half full side of it.
To say Lucas Dostal's a good goalie?
He was like a league average goalie before that.
But he was a league average goalie at like 22 years old.
Yeah, and then he has continued to be a league average goalie.
At 22 and 23 and 24, he's 26 years old, coming off his worst season when the defense in front of him was
his best goal against average at the end of the year is 3.1. His highest save percentage ever was the previous season at 903. But you're saying if like you put a better blue line in front of him, he's going to become like a Vezina guy?
I'm not saying a Vezina guy. I'm saying a good goalie.
Yeah, well, he was dog shit in the playoffs, I can tell you that. He's
great in the Olympics. He's the Gershon Yabusele of the NHL. Let's talk Leo Carlson here.
Mm-hmm.
So Leo Carlson, RFA, signs a tender with Philadelphia, pay him $18 million a year for 5 years. Anaheim has to match. They had already traded away Zegras. There was no option. If they didn't match on this, and maybe your mileage on Leo Carlson varies. I like Leo Carlson a lot. I like what I've seen a lot. I think that $18 million is a ton of money for a guy that might not be a heart guy, but you are still talking about a 1C caliber guy in this league. Mm-hmm. But their hand was forced. If they let him walk, they're basically signaling that we are hoping to be good in Jackson Lacombe's prime. You're saying like this is officially turned into a rebuild if you let Leo Carlson walk like that. And you're saying we're hoping that we can get, 3 firsts or something like that, I think, that you get? We're hoping that we can make 1 Leo Carlson out of 3 first-round picks.
At the price point you would have gotten signed at, it would have been 4 first-round picks.
Okay, so you're saying you're hoping you can make 1 Leo Carlson out of 4 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm. Or no, it may have been 3. Not important, but go ahead.
Not important. It was a bad offer to say we think we can get 1C with 4 shots at the plate in Jackson Lacombe's prime.
Right.
So their hand was forced on signing it here. If we were doing, or eventually when we do the Philadelphia offseason, I might give them like an A just based off of offer sheeting Leo Carlson to $18 million a year, knowing that he was going to get signed. Because also, like, the domino effect off that also forced San Jose, another competitor, to Philadelphia, supposedly, if you believe Philadelphia is on the come up. That forced them to pay 18.8 to their captain, or their 1C, not captain. So, what do you think? Carlson, $18 million, good deal, bad deal, still pinned in.
I think he's on track to hit his ceiling based on what we've seen, so I think it's a good deal. I do think they kind of sat on their balls by literally sitting on their balls and not getting the deal done earlier, and then they let
Sat on their
Philadelphia
balls by
bully
sitting
them.
on their balls. The
Yeah.
art and poetry of talent alone is undefeated by other
It's
hockey podcasts.
beautiful. Because then they end up getting bullied by Philly and having to pay more than they probably would have paid if they would have gotten this done ahead of time. So, but they should have got it done. And I think that they, like, all their big money signings were smart. They had to do it. Carlson, Lacombe, Mintyukov, like, those all had to happen. But they've put themselves in this situation where, like, keep in mind, Adam, Cutter Gauthier still doesn't have a contract.
Yeah, still
And
unsigned.
they got $9 million in cap space, and $9 million is not going to get you a young 41 goal score. A young 41 goal scorer.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not going to happen. And then in 2 years, like, they're going to have to shed cap to probably get that done. I don't even know how they do it. Like, I wrote down Chris Kreider's at 6.5 next year. Michael Granlund, I think, is at $7 million for the next couple of years. And then you have the Troy Terry deal that still has like 4 years left on it. I think one of those guys will be traded if they get the Gauthier deal done. One of those guys has to go to free up the cap space. But even then, Gauthier probably gets signed like north of 12 million, if maybe 13. And then you're looking at a future where it's like, crap, Bennett Senekanekani, who just had a great rookie season, is going to be an RFA in 2 years. And we're going to be in the same situation. Maybe Philly will come back for seconds and bully them into giving Senekany $8.5 billion.
You know what I think is also pretty funny? I pulled up. I want to see if we had any reports on what Gauthier was demanding.
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled up the Gauthier like news Google page. And the first news story on there is from the Hockey Writers, and it's what Cutter Gauthier's deal will say about Matthew Nyes.
What's with like the world's obsession with Matthew Nyes?
I don't know. So the report is that the Gauthier camp believes that he can justify a $14 to $16 million range, which I think is probably a little high over a guy that has had just had 41 goals, yes, but was under a point per game on a team that obviously cannot afford it. I would guess that we're looking at like a $10 to $11 million contract for him in the modern cap environment, which the Ducks cannot afford.
I'll be shocked if he signs for less than 13, to be honest with you, considering he's only 22.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy that has a ton of leverage here with a team that can't afford him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they are in a very bad cap position right now, which is it's important when a team on the come up like this is wasting $6.5 million on Chris Kreider, $6.25 on Alex Killorn, and wasting, right? But like this money's leaking away to guys who are way past their prime. Even if they have something to add to your team, you're talking about guys just sprinkled all over this roster. I mean, like even like someone like Nick Jensen at $2.25 million. Like, Nick Jensen is a perfectly cromulent player at $2.25 million. He's a quarter point per game scorer as a defensive first defenseman, right? Like, it's a guy that makes sense to have on this team. But there's just these little crumbs of money that are constantly leaking out the door that is going to make it harder for them to maintain people like Bennett Senekanekany and Cutter Gauthier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, like, you can, like, all those names, like, I threw out as one has to be probably on the move. Like, I'm not even saying they're, like, bad players. I mean, even Kreider at being an old man still put up I had it somewhere around here.
It's 0.67 points per game. He had 50 points in 75 games.
Yeah, 50 points, which like, isn't terrible. Or like Granlund was good as well for them last year. 41 and 55, like that's solid. That's pretty good too. And then even Troy Terry still had 57 points in 61 games. The only disappointing fact about him is when he got this deal, it was when he came off like his 37-point breakout season. And since then, his season high is 23 goals.
Yeah.
And
I think last year we could have seen his point total tick up a little bit, but he was finally starting to like get something going with Leo Carlsson and then got hurt. Yeah. So maybe you could talk yourself into like Troy Terry if he can stay on the ice. But they're in a real dangerous place right now with this Cutter Gauthier deal and Bennett on the horizon. As a team, is this the hardest team in terms of names?
Lacombe and Carlson are easy.
Lacombe and Carlson are easy, but you have Michael Granlund, which isn't the hardest name, but it looks like it should be Mikhail.
Mhm.
You have Cutter Gauthier. You have Bennett Sniktiki, and you have Laurent Brossois and Pavel Mintyukov.
Yeah.
Or
It's not easy.
do you get credit in Florida just for having 2 Kachucks?
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what grade are you giving Anaheim?
I mean, they're in a tough position right now, but they had to spend a lot, but they still locked down the guys they needed to lock down. So I mean, I gave him a C plus. Maybe that wasn't fair. Maybe I could go. I'm gonna give him a C plus.
I give him a C minus. So far be it from me to argue that it's fair enough. I going into this exercise was so sure I was going to give Anaheim a giant thumbs up, but just like looking through it, like you motherfuckers got bullied into giving Leo Carlson $18 million.
Yeah.
Like if you had just done this ahead of time and gotten him locked down, even if you pay him the most in the NHL, you pay him $15 million. There's the $3 million you need to get Cutter Gauthier at a contract he would sign.
Yeah.
Right there.
It's funny, like my C plus rating is influenced, like I said, their current situation is influenced so much by like past decisions and tough spots they could be in the future.
Which I mean, that's how you have to, right? Like you can't just look at the offseason in a vacuum, right? Like
Right.
their cap's gonna be squeezed, and they have guys that they either need to sign or they're just gonna end up being like, I don't know, fucking Toronto.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
A lot of promise, no results.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, you ready to talk about the Edmonton Oilers?
Edmonton Oilers, of course. Connor McDavid's great for the SEO.
Not as great as if you want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys for a little bit.
Nah.
You sure? You want to just rattle off like 8 to 12 minutes on the Dallas Cowboys?
There'll be time for that later.
All right. As per usual, let's start with the trades. Post-season, they've only made 2 trades for players. One we already covered, Darnell Nurse out the building after being like every single day, just being like, well, what if we bully him into waiving his no move clause? And then he waives his no move clause, and they're like, if you insist, we'll look for a trade for you.
You really want to leave,
They also took a basically nothing shot on Devin Levi, trading him in a 7th for a 3rd round pick in 2028. Mike, do you want to do like I can sing some Sarah McLachlan in the background if you want to do some Devin Levi thoughts? I
Goalies are weird, man.
remember you. Will you? No, you good?
The only thing I'm seeing in my head is a montage of Sam Reinhart going apeshit in Florida.
Not even Devin Levi.
Mm-mm.
Not even the Great White Hope.
No, because Levi was supposed to be like the big get in the Rhino trade, and that didn't really pan out.
What do you mean? You turned him into a
The 3rd?
2028 3rd.
Yeah.
How's that not a great get?
Maybe that's where our franchise goalie is going to get picked. 2028 3rd. It all worked out in the end.
All right, let's talk about these fucking Oilers signings, eh?
Yeah.
They extend Jason Dickinson and Connor Murphy. Dickinson, 5 years, $20 million. Connor Murphy, 5 years, $20.5 million. So that's around 4 per. They signed Ryan Shea, 5 years, $20 million. Kasperi Kapanen, 1 year, 2.6. Matthew Joseph, 1 year, $1 million. Freddie Anderson, 1 year, $1 million. After trading for him, Shakir Mukhamadullin. I'm really struggling with the names today. I'm out of practice. 2 years, $3.5 million. Spencer Stastny, 1 year, $1.525 million. Owen Michaels, 2 years, 1.8. Shouldn't have said that one. That's $900,000 a year. And Colton Dock, 2 years, $2.4 million. Mike, what do you think of the Edmonton Oilers offseason?
I mean, I think they did about as good as they could do considering the situation they had to work with. And getting off the Nurse deal is a win for them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then they basically turned around and used the Nurse money on re-signing Connor Murphy at 4.1, and then signing Ryan Shea at $4 million. Like that basically is like just a little bit less than the Nurse money. I will say the Ryan Shea one is only $4 million. but it's only 4 million for 4 years. But you could argue maybe that 4 million could have been better used on a dude who didn't get to the NHL until he was 26, and then at 28, all of a sudden, kind of had like this breakout year. I mean, he was probably the best defenseman on the market as a UFA, if I remember correctly. But I mean, Pittsburgh didn't get sucked in to like the 29-year-old breakout. But I mean, like I said, Edmonton had to do something, and they can take a swing on that at only 4 million. And then Connor Murphy, like I said, at 4.1, who was pretty good for him last year, but he's also 33. So, but this team doesn't really care about being young. They just have to find a way to win before McDavid decides to leave and Leon Draisaitl decides to leave.
Yeah.
So I don't think and they actually ended up with positive cap space, 4.725 left. Maybe they should just throw a throw a 4.725 offer sheet at Cutter Gauthier. See if he says yes.
So they still have Evan Bouchard making 10 million. They got McDavid and Draisaitl both making 12.5 and 14 respectively. But in goal now, they at least have Freddie Anderson. He's only at $1 million with a no move clause, which I don't necessarily think is going to be a big issue. And Devin Levi and Tristan Jarry, who was so bad last year after he got traded. But Freddie Anderson, who had a good run in the playoffs, and Devin Levi on hopefully a revitalization process there.
Yeah. Only 24. Like I said, goalies are weird.
Their goalie room cannot possibly be as bad as it was last year.
I mean, Freddie wasn't great when he was in net,
right?
And got chased out of the net in the Stanley Cup Finals, which wasn't a surprise because like the first couple rounds he played offenses that were basically like that Patrick Starr meme where he has a 2x4 nailed to his head. But they basically, like I said, didn't have a lot to work with. So like, we'll take a flyer on Devin Levi, and we either end up having a starting AHL goalie, or maybe he works in the show. And then like 1 year, 1 million, Freddie Anderson that could have been a lot worse. Like the only way for them to do like a drastic move to like all of a sudden have a great goalie would have been if they figured out a trade package for Connor Hellybuck. And part of that probably would have been sending Darnell Nurse to Winnipeg, and Winnipeg was like, nah, we're good.
You think Hellybuck gets moved
this late in the game? I mean, there's definitely a non-0% chance, but this could end up being a situation where are the Jets at in the standings come the deadline? It could be more likely that than the other.
Speaking of standings, what's the ceiling for this Oilers team now?
Is it really much different than it usually is?
I don't think so. I mean, like all their moves were like bottom of the lineup moves, right? Like who was the highest up the lineup player that they added? Not re-signed, but added. Because like they traded for Jason Dickinson halfway through the season last year and then extended him.
Right, because they traded for him, so you got to keep him.
You got to keep him.
I don't know.
Kasperi Kapanen?
Ryan Shea on their third pair? Yeah, like I don't know. Is it Devin Levi? Is it Freddie Anderson? Like I don't know. Like yeah, everything was done down below.
Yeah. So like this team wasn't great last year. The defense probably got worse. Like yeah, you signed Ryan Shea and you extended Connor Murphy, right? So that's good. Mm-hmm. But like, are either of those guys even as good of a defenseman as Darnell Nurse? Like Darnell Nurse was overpaid, but he's still an NHL defenseman.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. I really don't like their top blue line. Like Bouchard's good, but Bouchard is an offensive defenseman. And it depends on what you think of a 36-year-old Matthias Ekholm. I mean, this team literally is what it is every year. It's like we have a couple good players in Hyman and Hopkins. Nugent Hopkins, I'm sorry, Ryan. And then we're hoping when you add top 5 elite tier player McDavid and Draisaitl, that's enough for us to. It's definitely enough probably to get him back in the playoffs, but hopefully those guys go nuclear in the playoffs and we somehow get back to the Cup final.
Yeah, and that's what you need.
It's not happening.
No, they missed their window. They missed a window with this team, and there's no way to fix this team without tearing it down to the studs and building it back up, which means that you're probably going to have to wave bye-bye to Connor McDavid. And there's just, like, there's no chance they do this. But imagine the return they can get if they shipped off McDavid and Draisaitl mid-season.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be going full rebuild.
You thought fucking Vancouver got a major boost to their rebuild by trading away just Quinn Hughes? Like, imagine trading off 2 Hart winners and the rebuild you could dive into.
Yeah.
Now, also, Mike, we are ignoring the fact. We are ignoring a very important fact, which is
what I was going to say.
Hired Mike Babcock. So,
yeah, so that's why, not to skip ahead, like I said, like movement-wise, I think they did pretty solid for what they had to work with. So I was going to be like C+. But Babcock bumps him down to a D.
I went C-, so we're close enough. Yeah.
Okay, that was a terrible decision that is going to lead to a toxic environment. And I mean, it was clear that from his introductory press conference, Babcock has had no self-reflection.
No.
Nothing is his fault.
He kind of did the Hulk Hogan. Like, remember when Hulk Hogan came back to the WWE locker room after that tape came out where he was using racial slurs? And he like, instead of apologizing and talking about how, you know, he's trying to grow and learn as a person, he just was like, always watch out because people might be recording you.
Right. Like it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
It was that the person was taping him.
Yeah.
It was their fault. You know, it wasn't Babcock's fault at these past places. It was, you know, he just didn't vibe with their people. It was their fault. Like, I mean, you can go all the way back to, he won cups in Detroit, where he bullied his players and Johan Franzen practically had like a mental breakdown over it. But times were different then. Like, I feel back then they were able to make it happen. One, because that if you go back and look at those Detroit Red Wings rosters, they were just fucking stacked. And like the idea of what was going on in Detroit back then wasn't acceptable. But now the culture has changed toward that kind of crap everybody is realizing like isn't acceptable. You know, like the boys club like in locker rooms, I think is changing in sports. And so you can't do what he did in Toronto and bully players and ask your top players to come in and rank the other players on the teams or take your players' cell phones because you want to see their pictures for some weird thing that makes sense. Like, I think this is just going to create a toxic environment.
So
like, I honestly could see a world where Babcock is the final nail in the McDavid leaving coffin.
NHL players also, well, McDavid's the guy that brought him in, but NHL players also, they like, no matter where you talk to them, they are not going to give away shit that goes on in the locker room, except about Babcock. Like Frankie Corrado, who does the Athletic pod sometimes, who played for Babcock for a short period of time in Toronto, even talks about how much he fucking hates Mike Babcock. Like, players will not say anything about anyone who has ever touched a hockey stick to the media outside of them talking shit about Mike Babcock. Like, this is a terrible hire. I'm dropping it down to a D. I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean, like, like you said, like, Paul Bissonnette, like, when this was signing, like, he hates Mike Babcock, too. I was like, this is terrible. Like, go back and look at I forgot all the details of the Red Wings thing, and I went back and reread on it. I was like, dear God, what an asshole.
Yeah, you know who likes Mike Babcock? People who have never played for him.
Yeah. And so I know Hyman was like, I didn't have any problems with Babcock in Toronto. Bitch, you lying.
So yeah, this is gonna go horribly. And it's not like it's even set up to go well, and we're like, well, Babcock unwinds all of this. Like, the team's not good. Like, it's
like, I can still see him getting into the playoffs, but they're not getting to the cup.
Well, yeah,
final,
because so far we've given one team a passing grade in their off-season.
So the Pacific sucked this season, and the grades are kind of, you know.
Like, so like the Mike Babcock thing doesn't like ruin a great off-season, right? That's the important thing. It simply makes a kind of okay off-season worse.
Yeah, because I mean, like, let's face it, Edmonton has always had this sense of like front office not doing good moves, and what is that doing to the locker room? And then you just drop a Babcock in there. Like, I mean, I'm not sure what McDavid was seeing, where he's like, I want this guy. Maybe he wants to sabotage the team so it won't look as bad when he won't feel as bad when he leaves. But
I think we're giving McDavid too much credit.
Yeah, probably.
I think that like sometimes hockey players like I personally operate under the assumption that they understand hockey better than me. I think it's probably a safe thing to say about most hockey players.
That's
And so whenever like they demand something, I'm like, they're saying something I'm not. And this, I'm just like, no, you're just so fucking hockey brained, man. You're like, we
Yeah.
need a hard ass in here. It's like, all right, what if the hard ass isn't a good coach? And they're like, doesn't matter. We need a hard ass to make sure all these players are in line.
Their last 2 coaches were inexperienced, didn't win anything, and also weren't good. So he's probably looking at Babcock as a tenured guy who's won a cup
He's been out of the league for 4 seasons. And
for a reason.
just want to point out that the last 2 guys they hired were both like, you know, they babysat for Connor McDavid when he was a kid.
No, they didn't.
He had like a personal relationship with their last 2 coaches, and then this time they're you know, he's like, that didn't work. Let's bring in a guy I've never met before.
Nah, block.
All right, you want to close this out? Talk about some Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, I have the least notes on this team, but
What are you
I'm
talking about?
ready to rant.
So many moves, Mike. So many moves. The Vegas Golden Knights. If we go back to once again the end of the Stanley Cup final. Whew, boy. Okay. A lot of trades here. Let me make sure that I'm sorting through this to not accidentally give you any cup trades. So they did forfeit their second round pick, worth remembering, because Torts didn't want to talk to the media.
Yeah.
They trade Pavel Dorofeyev to the New York Rangers for a first and a third round pick, which they
Top
then
goal scorer
What's up?
last year? That was their top goal scorer last year, if I remember correctly.
Not in the playoffs, right?
No, he had a great playoff too.
Yeah, but didn't like Brett Howden end up taking the
not
the
in
crown?
the playoffs. Maybe it was close.
Like I think that Howden ended up winning that battle. Skipping through all their draft day trades, they trade Akira Schmidt to Florida for a 2028 third round pick. They signed
Bobrovsky
Jeremy
replacement.
Lazon, 6 years, $24 million. Tanner Lasnik, 3 years, $2.7 million. That's under $1 million a year. Whoopsie. They trade away Caden Korzak and in return get Parker Wotherspoon, retained at 50% from Pittsburgh. They give Rasmus Anderson a very reasonable $7 year, $59.5 million deal. They signed Victor Olofsson, 1 year, $1.638 million deal. Dylan Coghlan, 2 years, $1.75. That's under $1 million. Whoopsie. Gonna keep doing that. And that's it. Then they sign a draft pick, 3 years to basically the 2-way ELC.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. So they're just to recap there. Kira Smith to Florida, Pavel Dorofeyev to New York, Jeremy Lazon 4x6, Rasmus Anderson 7 by 8.5, Victor Olofsson 1 by 1.64, and they promote Ryan Craig from the AHL to be their head coach after not bringing back John Tortorella. Tortorella. Mike, you wanna rant about Vegas a little bit there?
They couldn't get away with it forever. The manipulation of the cap, and they now have negative 8.6 mil in projected cap space, and they lost because of that as a pretty rough cap casualty. They lost Dorofeyev, who scored north of 30 goals the last 2 seasons. Then even this year, he took an uptick in assists. He had 12 goals in the playoffs. That hurts for him to be a cap casualty, and then you're still in the negative. And your team, by the way, yeah, like Torts came in and then they kind of got vibe fueled, went like 10-0 or whatever in the end of the season, won the division, and then vibes fueled in the playoffs, and made it to the finals. And who knows how maybe that series could be a little different if Jack Eichel all of a sudden didn't like turn into like the players in Space Jam after they got their skills sucked away from like into a basketball.
Just a bit outside. So there's been some talk about how Vegas is going to get under this cap number. The prevailing theory is Mark Stone LTIR retirement, which would not be the first time they've LTIR retired a guy. For instance, Alex Pietrangelo, who's been on their LTIR for years. They don't really have another route. Like, I guess they could trade Mark Stone, or at that point, after that, they would have to like combine contracts and lose multiple players, or they could trade Marner or Eichel, which, fuck's sake, don't do that. But let's say Mark Stone,
Carlson.
how much does Carlson make?
I mean, it wouldn't get them above. They'd still be a little bit. They'd still be in the negative, but it would free up 5.9. He's on an expiring deal.
Yeah, so I guess they can move him and someone else, but let's just for argument's sake say LTIR retirement for Mark Stone, who has missed a lot of time in the last few years, was incredibly effective in the playoffs, but has missed a lot of time. That means their top line would be Eichel, Barbashev, and either Marner or Howden. Let's just say for argument's sake, Howden, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then their second line would be Carlson, Marner, Victor Olofsson. Their third line is Tomas Hertl, Braden Bowman, and maybe like Mark Gatcomb, Alexander Holtz, one of those guys. Like this team completely falls apart now. Like you're right. Like they only could do this for so long. They got away with it for as long as you could, and they just kept churning. They got him a ring. That's all you can ask in life. Their blue line's still pretty good, and you hope that their goaltending's a little bit better than it was last year. But they got away with this as long as they could. They got a ring very fast for when they became a franchise. They've played in 3 Stanley Cups, and you just ran out of runway, man. You're too capped out. You gave Rasmus Anderson a shitload of money, and now you got to figure out a way to hit the cap floor, which involves trading away Pavel Dorofeyev and probably LTIR retiring your captain.
Do you look at trying to move Aiden Hill, make $6.25 million, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna have to put some like really weird but it couldn't get any worse,
So like,
unless you really believe in him to bounce back.
If you can get Aiden Hill out the door, who has a 10-team no trade, and Braden McNabb out the door, who has a 10-team no trade, then you are above the cap floor.
Yeah.
Is that the move then? Is that how you do it?
Maybe. I mean, that might be it. I don't see where else they could shed cap and not like hurt themselves. This is like their blue line's good on paper, but sometimes just didn't play up to snuff. It was really weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Rasmus Anderson just hasn't been good on this team.
Yeah.
Like after they traded for him, he went from being 10 goals, 20 assists, 30 total points in 48 games to the regular season, 33 games at half a point a game. Like he has the fall off there, and then his playoffs were like legendarily bad, and as a result, he gets rewarded with an $8.5 million contract to play second pair on the right side.
Yeah, like I imagine their hope may have been, unless they really were just like, yeah, we got to reunite Hanifin and Anderson. I imagine their hope would have been to have either Hanifin or Anderson on the top line with Theodore instead of 35-year-old Braden McNabb, who makes $3.6 million.
Yeah.
Actually plays pretty well. But.
Who we could probably see getting moved. Like, I like Braden McNabb, but like it's either Mark Stone's out or, like you said, Aiden Hill and someone like Braden McNabb in that range is out. So what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do if you're Vegas? First off, you don't bring back Torts, despite the fact he got you to the Cup final and made you lose your second-round pick because he refused to talk to the media.
That's fucked up.
But that's not, like I don't really know what you do, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, are they like no? That roster's better overall than Edmonton's, right?
Yes.
Or is it? Or are they just Edmonton with a better blue line?
I mean that, but like,
fair question.
yes, they're better than Edmonton, right? Like their
Yeah.
fourth line center is Nick Dowd, right? Like they are better than
Right.
Edmonton.
That's fair.
They have Mitch Marner on their second line, Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel. Like they are a better roster than Edmonton. The question is, how much longer are Edmonton and Vegas going to be better than teams like San Jose and Anaheim? I guess that was a rhetorical question. Based off your response. Okay, got it. Thank you for letting me know.
I thought it was supposed to be rhetorical. I'm sorry.
Mike informing me my question was rhetorical. All right, Mike, what grade did you give the fighting Golden Knights?
I'm gonna bump it up from what I originally did because I'll give them a little bit of leeway for they weren't able to make a lot of moves because of their cap situation. So D.
I gave them a D as well because they got
Yeah.
forced into a corner where they had traded away their best goal scorer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, at the very least there, you have to fail. You're not an average team if you have to trade away your best goal scorer because of the corner you're backed in. And they're still over the cap. So gotta at least be a D. I would even hear an F for having to trade away Dorofeyev.
That's what I bumped him up from.
Yeah.
I gave him a little bit of leeway.
Basically every team we had here, I think maybe we had one B- or something like that, but basically every team was in the C to D range. Pacific had a tough offseason.
And a tough regular season.
You know what? Pretty good playoff, all things considered.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Got any final news or notes here? Let me double check to make sure we didn't get any weird hockey news.
I'm seeing nothing.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, nothing really notable here. The Penguins made some signings, but we'll talk about them when we talk about that division. So for now, I think that's all I got.
Give us
Mikey.
a preview, Adam.
Preview of what?
What's the next division we're doing?
Central.
Central. All right.
It's going west to east.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Dope.
Figured that was the way to do it since we started on the Pacific. Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right. There's no Canadian teams in the Central, is there? Oh, Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winnipeg.
I was wondering if we could get an entire podcast without talking about a dog shit country. Wait.
I think the Metro has no Canadian, right?
Yeah, I was checking the Metro. Yeah, Metro has no
Metro's
Canadian
Canadian
teams.
teams.
Can't wait to talk about the Metro. All right, next week we'll do the Central. Mike, you got any plugs?
Yeah, I just wanted to plug D's.
D's something? Like
D's nuts!
Yeah, all of our socials and everything is in the description below. So if you want to follow us, you want to email us, you want to watch us on Twitch, it's all down there below. I'm going to a play tonight. That's all I got.
Dope.
Yeah. Well, Mike, since we don't do shout-outs on the way out the door here, would you care to guess who directed the final episode of The Twilight Zone?
Rob Reiner, R.I.P.
Oh, it was directed by Joseph M. Newman.
Oh, the guy who has the salad dressings.
Yeah, Joseph's Zone.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.